Hi folks, got a whole thunderstorm thing going on here, all kinds of winds and all, but it's not raining at the moment, it just stopped. So let's try to squeeze in a quick video. I got a few things I need to do, so I gotta get this done with. I've been working on the Ruttman Minibike Build, and it's gotten to the point where it's time to start lining things up. And little things like lining up the front wheel, not that big a deal. If you remember, these are 5/8 shafts, and I turned them down a little bit so I can put that on there. I'm going to drill it so that'll hold on. I welded it on that side, and I put them together just like this. This piece of black here, this is lawnmower handle pipe. Right, you can see where that was bent to go into the lawnmower, and it's slightly loose. I tried a bunch of other stuff. This is conduit, and it was a little too tight, right? And this is black pipe, which was also too tight. And when I tried to drill it out, I got the bit stuck, so I got to cut that to get it set up. What I did was, right up against the wheel bearing, you could see those washers. And the reason why I did that is the washers are tighter on the pipe. These are basically lock washers that I took the lock out of. Right? I just used a couple of wrenches and bent them flat. So once again, this is right up against the bearing. Then I have the lawnmower handle up against the side there. And when this thing tightens down, it'll just put the slightest little bit of pressure. And you can see how the center of the tire is lined up exactly. And there we go. So that's the front wheel. Once I pull that in a little bit, it's really going to tighten up nice. So it's really pretty good. About the back, let me show you from this angle. See the chain, the engine, the way the engine holds are lined up on the frame there, front and back. And generally speaking, you normally try to get the engine into the middle of the adjustment, into the middle of those cutouts. I deliberately pushed it back a little bit for a couple of reasons. A, to get the exhaust away from my leg, and B, to keep this from crowding this foot peg. I think, don't know because I haven't sat on it yet, I think the geometry is going to work such that when I sit on it, my knees are a little bit more this way, and then my leg kind of comes down. So I think it's going to be okay. I don't think that exhaust is going to be too hot on me. You know, I think my legs are basically going to be opened a little bit. So I think all this is going to work. For the back, between the end of the bearing and the sprocket, I was only able to fit in that washer, right? Because we want all this in a nice straight alignment. Unfortunately, the front tire is lined up with that, which is lined up here, so the back tire is a little bit out. But for me to get the back tire centered, so to speak, that means this engine would be way out here, which would off balance the entire bike. So you got to go with what you got, right? I mean, these things weren't meant to do 100 miles per hour on. For this side, once again, you can see the washer on there, the lock washer. Then I just put regular standard washers. The nice thing about the standard washers is they're very easy to slip in here as you're putting it all together. You can see how I'm going to tighten that. It's going to smash the whole thing. Anyway, the back, let me show you my hand, but see how the tire is not moving? It's really nice and tight, and that's the way you want it to be, right? as you're going down the driveway, you don't want your front wheel doing this and your back wheel doing that, because very quickly you're going to chuck the chain. This is a bike that's worth taking the extra fab time to put a little guard over the clutch. And the reason for that is, I don't know how many of you guys have been branded by a hot clutch, but it'll put a little sizzle onto your leg and leave a line that you'll be able to find. Even if you're a kid, you'll be able to find that line when you become an adult, and if you're an adult, you'll have that line until your final days come about. As I was floating around the Hoard, it seems that I have a few clutches for number 41 chain, and not so many clutches for number 35 chain. So I gotta put that into my brain. And one day when I'm beating through eBay and I see, I want to leave these out so they kind of dry out. They got a little wet. Anyway, one day when I'm beating through eBay and I see a really good deal on centrifugal clutches, what I'll do is I'll buy a few. Right, I'm one of those people. If I can get a deal on something, luckily I'm capitalized well enough. Right, I could, especially now that I got that little job, I could put out, especially if I'm going to save money on the long run, I could put out a couple of bucks toward having some extra supplies, and hence the Hoard. That stuff could stay out. Boy, it rained for just a few minutes, and it really did cool it off quite a lot here. I don't know what the weather is like by you guys. So, I mean, theoretically, with the build, my next thing is to kind of get the motor just bolted up, get it down on both wheels, and see what it's like with my feet on these pegs. See if it's comfortable or if it's uncomfortable. If it's really uncomfortable, I might have to consider putting a different engine on it. Once again, luckily for me, you know, I have a Predator engine all ready to go. Right, it would not be that big a deal for me to go digging through the Hoard and find a Honda clone, you know, with the cylinder leaning forward, so to speak, and smash that onto this bike. I'd really kind of like to try to keep this Honda motor, because though it's a really big motor, too big for the bike, it actually, the original engine, the Tecumseh, that should be on there was an upright like that is. I'd really rather not leave this engine out here in the rain, so I think I'm going to be ending this video now. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please, please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now.